Hello, welcome back to Cracking the Cryptic on a big day for the channel when we release our Sudoku Pad app, which will allow you to play Sudokus in our software on phones and devices. And it's something people have asked us about pretty much once a week for the last 2 years. So we really are pleased, or ever since Sam first developed the software. So thank you so much to Sven, who has worked his socks off developing this app. And it will cost a couple of bucks on the App Store or Android. I really think you'll like it if you just want a better interface for solving classic Sudokus especially. Now, this does require you to input the classic Sudoku yourself and then solve it. But then you get to do all our standard highlighting tricks that you've become familiar with, and coloring and stuff like that. So really, we recommend it highly, obviously. Do have a look for it on the App Store. There are links under the video, probably the first links today, and this puzzle will come after them, the puzzle that I'm going to solve. So you have just seen Sven inputting the pillow Sudoku, and that pillow is the prize for Jovial's extravaganza, which will be judged on, what is it, the 20th. We are going to close that and pick a winner out of the hundreds and hundreds of entrants. We are so impressed at how many people have got through that puzzle hunt and got it all right and got to the final solution. Congratulations to you all, and indeed to it's now hundreds of people who have managed to enter the murder mystery hunt, identify the passwords, solve the crime. Fantastic stuff. So that stuff is all on our Patreon channel. The Jovial hunt was the reward for this month, July, and the murder mystery is actually free to everybody, so do just pop over to Patreon. We obviously love it if you are kind enough to sponsor us there. But anyway, that's all there now. And of course, all our regular apps are also available on the App Store, on Android and on Steam, and links to those are in the description field. But this puzzle has come in from Kane Puzzles. Now, we have solved puzzles by Kane Puzzles before. And I'm pronouncing it Kane because that is what it looks like, although I think that name is made up of Chan, the constructor's first name, and an E. So anyway, this is a version that we did years ago called Picnic Sudoku, because it mixes two types of Sudoku that sound like you would take them on a picnic. Thermos, as in thermos, and sandwiches. So this is Picnic Sudoku for that reason. And the way it works is that normal Sudoku rules apply, 1 to 9 in every row, column, and 3 by 3 box. Along thermometers, digits increase from the bulb to the end. We only have 6 very short thermometers here, but never mind about that. Clues outside the grid show the sum of the digits between the 1 and the 9 in that row or column. Now here we've got a lot of inequality signs. So obviously in this row, the sum of the digits between the 1 and the 9 is less than 5. And do remember that it could be 0. 0 is a possible sum of the digits. In fact, 1 is not. There's a little tip for you. Because you couldn't put a 1 between the 1 and the 9 in a row or column. So anyway, those are the rules of this puzzle. Do give it a try. You might have to look for the link this time, but it is there. And I'm going to start now. Well, actually, I'll just tell you first, I am very keen to do a sandwich puzzle quicker than yesterday's. This is very much a case of me trying to get back on the horse, because Knuckle Sandwich by Math Pesto yesterday gave me a bit of a bloody nose and took well over an hour and a half. And I'm really hoping that I can restore my faith in my ability to solve sandwich puzzles today. We'll see. That could be a broken reed. If you see that this video length is over 90 minutes again, call my psychologist now and send him round, because I will need some help. Anyway, let's have a look at this. Picnic Sudoku by Kane Puzzles. Let's get cracking. And right, well, these less than 2 rows, what they are telling me, remember that tip that I just said, that 1 is not a possible sum for a sandwich. So therefore they are all 0. That's what these less than 2 must mean. And that means that in each of these rows, 1 and 9 are next to each other. Now, unfortunately, that is not hard to achieve in 3 rows, especially by confining the 1s and 9s to separate boxes. But in fact, it doesn't have to be that way. That could be where the 1s and 9s appear as well. So we don't know necessarily. It's not actually that helpful a bunch of clues. So, okay, let's have a look at the big numbers. More than 26. That's interesting. More than 27 and more than 26. Right, and what we know about those, let's first of all have a little bit of education. If you had 1 on one end of a column and 9 on the other, the digits in between would be 2 to 8, and they would add up to 35. And I know that because I've learnt it from Sandwich Sudoku, and because I can work it out by calculating that 45 is the sum of the digits from 1 to 9 minus the 10 that is 1 and 9 gives us 35. Now, that's interesting. How does it apply here where there is no clue of 35, definitely? Well, these 26s, more than 26 and more than 27, they have digits that are not in the sandwich that add up to 7 or less. And that means they must be done in 2 cells. Now, what I'm trying to say is that the sandwich must be at least 5 cells big. And the way you can consider that is if it was the maximum 4 digits, say you tried to keep the sandwich to 4 digits long, it would be 8 plus 7 plus 6 plus 5. They add up to 26, but all of these columns have sandwiches of more than 26. So they must have 5 cell sandwiches. Those 5 cell sandwiches must include these 3 rows, and therefore I'm going to colour them green because they cannot contain 1 and 9. And, okay, in fact, 1 and 9 must be, there must be 1, 1 and 9 in this orange area, and there must be 1, 1 and 9 in that area. And that's quite interesting down here because of these less than 2 sums. There has to be a 0 from whichever digit is a 1 and 9 here, and therefore the other 1 and 9 in this box is next to the first one. So I've got 2 kind of orange strips which must contain 1, 1 and 9 there, and then a green one here. Now that green is in a column with a 16 clue. 16 has to be at least 3 cells. 8 plus 7 is only 15. So the furthest apart that the two crusts, the 1 and 9 could be, is there. And they must include at least 3 cells. So those 2 are going to have to be green. That's just reminded me that in a picnic puzzle, a cell that is not a bulb or tail of a thermo, like this one, has to be green because it can't be 1 or 9, just by thermo rules. Anyway, so we get 1 of 1 or 9 there and 1 here. Now we've used them up for the top box. There's 1 there and there's 1 there. So these are green. And we're going to get 1 in here. We've got a sum of less than 11, but that's all too easy to do. I'm not sure it makes much sense to keep these orange colours in, so I'm going to take them out. Let's tidy up a bit. So we know that each of these vertical strips, box by box, has 1 of the crusts. Now there's also 1 there, 1 there, 1, now 1 in those 2, and 1 there. What else do we know? Less than 20, no, greater than 21 in this column. So there must be, yes, okay, there's 1 here. And remember this rule about less than 2s. The crust next to the crust here must be in this column as well. So this column is not 1s or 9s. Right, the 21 clue now, it has to be 4 digits. So we know exactly where they are. That is the sandwich. I'm going to put red crusts in, which I do sometimes, and they are the digits 1 and 9 in that column. So we've got an actual start there. we've got to fit 1, 1 or 9 here. We don't get a clue for this column, of course. But there is one here, so these are green. There's one red there, there's one red here, one red here. They're tied together by these clues. And they also mean that one of these three must... I knew that one of those three must be a 1 and 9 from the 27 clue. So that's an uninteresting extra fact. Crumbs, what else do we do here then? We don't... we've got this less than 5 clue. Right, remember that could be 0, in which case the two digits, the two crusts are next to each other, but it can't be 5 or more, therefore it can't be a 2 sandwich sum, so this can't be a crust. In fact, the crusts can't be here and here sandwiching an actual number, because that would use up the 2 crusts for box 2. And we've got to have one in those 3 cells, and that would be 3 crusts. So the crusts are not there and there. So one of them is here for the row, and it is next. It must now be next to the other one. In fact, this less than 5 does represent 0, just as those less than 2s do. Those are now green. This less than 27 clue, right. So the outies are, greater than 27. I keep misspeaking those signs. So 28 or more for the sandwich has to be 5 cells. We established that. So it's those 5 cells. We get another red cell. That red cell has to be next to a red cell because of the zeros in these rows. So those become green. And the 2 red cells in this box are both there, so these are all green. Now, what about this 9 clue? Is that any use? Yeah, 9 always has to be at least 2 cells apart. Well, the sandwich is either 2 or 3 cells big, because 9 is not a candidate itself. So, the 2 crusts here have to be in different boxes, I think, by that reasoning. So there's one here and one here. The fact that there's one here makes all these green. There's one here. Oh no, hang on. No, go backwards. I've forgotten that this could be a crust of the 9 sandwich. So that could be doing 2 or 3 cells there. So absolutely no. But even in that case, there will be one in this group here. So there is definitely one crust in that group. Therefore, there's one crust in this group, and that doesn't really help. Now we've got one there. I am going to colour these a bit, just because I feel the need. So when I use colours that are not red and green, I am basically painting in dominoes that must contain one crust. There's another one here. Let's keep doing it here. Sorry if this is annoying for colourblind people. Actually, yeah, let's make those 2 purple instead of yellow. That should help a little. Although I know some people won't like those, but never mind. Right. 1... Wow, what can we do with this information? Got no more horizontal clues. We've basically used them entirely already, which really throws in question how we're ever going to disambiguate this puzzle. Oh, is it a fact? Yes, one of these is a pair that is... Yeah, in rows 7 and 8, we have to have the 1 and 9 sitting next to each other. So we've either got them sitting in those cells or in those cells. There's always a 5-digit, at least 5-digit sum in the columns 1 and 9. So if they were sitting like this, that would be a crust. And then we'd have 2 crusts done in the top row, and that would be the crust in column 1. Or they're sitting this way round, in which case that's a crust, and now this must be the crust in column 9. So we're always going to use up the 2 crusts between this cell and the end. That is right. So I can make all of these cells green. I'm certain that that's right. Now, does that mean this is... Yeah, that is a crust now. Bingo. So 1 or 9 there. It needs a 3-cell sandwich. So we can put in green there, red here. That is the red for row 6 to complete it. So those are all green. Now this is interesting. If this is a 1, the other crust in this box is there and is a 9. But if this is a 9, the other crust is there and is a 1. And I don't know which is which, do I? Oh, this is magic. This is absolute magic. What I'm going to show you, I have never before seen in a sandwich puzzle. And it is to do with these 1s and 9s. This is brilliance. I've been wondering, how are we ever going to disambiguate which of these pairs has the crust in row 1 and which one in row 2, and which of these pairs exists down here. And I've got it, and this is magnificent. Right, this red cell, let's part colour it blue, and it's got an identity of 1 or 9. This one in the same column will part colour that grey, and it's the other version of 1 or 9. So this is the same as that one because it's in the same row as the grey, so that's half blue. This is different from the half blue, so it's half grey. And what does that mean for this cell? It means it can see both the grey version of 1 and 9 and the blue version of 1 and 9. Therefore, it's not 1 or 9, and it is green. It is not a 1 or 9. And now we know that this one is. And that is resolving all our uncertainties. That is absolutely extraordinary. I have never seen that before, and I love it. Well done, Kane. Right, so this needs a 5-cell sum. So those 2 have suddenly gone green. That's going to make these 2 green. These 2 are going to become red. These 2 are going to become red. I could carry on the colouring, although I don't know if it'll matter. Let's do it though. Red and blue, red and green. That one is red and grey, I mean. That one's red and grey. That one's red and blue. That one's red and grey. I don't think any of this is going to tell me which of these is the red and blue version. But that, in its own right, that is so clever. Ah, look, these have become green. So, how does this 9 clue work now? That's brilliant. Look, this is brilliant. Where are you going to fit in a 9 sandwich in this column? You figure it out because it's fun. Basically, it's going to need this crust because you can't fit a 9 in between a 1 and a 9 there without breaking Sudoku rules. So this is a crust, and this is a crust, and these are 2, 3, 4. And that is also a brilliance in the construction of this puzzle. I can't colour these cells yet, which is surprising and irritating. But I've got my first sandwich numbers sort of written in there. Oh, this is so clever. Oh, look, this is the last possible red cell in the row. Yes. So that's red. Oh, I've got no clues for these rows and columns. Hang on, that's not true. I do have a clue for this column. It's less than 11 in column 2. But it could still be 3 cells. It could be 2, 3, and 4, or 2, 3, and 5. And that's therefore not telling me which of these is the crust. I'm going to remove the colouring now. I'm not going to remove the part colouring of 1s and 9s because I think that's quite interesting, frankly. Let's put in the 1s and 9s in all those cells. But now I'm going to have to do some work with numbers finally. But I don't really know what I can do. These zeros in all the rows, those clues are fully fulfilled, if that's a phrase. These outies have to add up to less than 9. Okay, so they can't have an 8 in. So they're from 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. They also can't have a 7 in, because 7 plus 2 would be 9 and would falsify that clue. These 3 are on a thermo and add up to 16. Is that useful? Oh, it's useful because look, the bulb of the thermo sees 2, 3, and 4. So that's got to be 5 or 6. Then we get 6, 7, and 7, 8. I finally get to good lift the thermo and put all the possible pencil marks on now, even though it's a tiny one. Oh, and that's really helpful here. Look, 6 and 7 would allow this to be a 3. 6 and 8 would allow it to be a 2. 7 and 8 would force it to be a 1, which is impossible. So that is not a 7, that is a 6. And we get an actual digit in the grid. 6 and 5. Then these two add up to 10. There are 2 ways now of doing that. Right, hang on though. 6, 5, 1, 9. What about this thermo? It's not very helpful. It can't contain 1 or 9. So it might begin with a 2 there. So this can be 3, 4, or 7, and this can be 4, 7, or 8. Okay, not all that helpful. These add up to less than 8, which is the difference between 35 and 27. So they add up to 7 or less, and they don't include a 5. So they've got to only use the numbers 2, 3, and 4. It's difficult to pair those up and put something in this column. I mean, then one of these numbers must appear, at least one of those numbers appears here, but maybe it's both. No, I don't know what to do with that. This adds up to more than 21, which I think we only needed to establish its length. Oh, no, right. No, this is very interesting because we know something about this group of 3 cells and this group of 2. And we definitely know that this box adds up to 45. So what do we know about these groups? Well, we know that this group adds up to less than 14. So its maximum is 13. This group adds up to less than 9, so its maximum is 8. So the maximum of these 5 cells is 21. Those two obviously add up to 10, so that's 31. So the minimum for these two is 14, which has to be done by a 6 and 8 once 9 is impossible. So it's either 6, 8 and 7, 8 in these cells. This can't be 8, so 8 is here. This could now be 6 or 7, but it's got a bigger number than it in the box, so that has to be 7 and 6. These are now at their absolute minimum, if that's 14. So what were those minimums? This one adds up to 13, so that needs a 2 and a 4 to go with the 7. 5 and 3 makes 8 here. That's right for this clue. So when we've now used these final 2 clues completely, we've used that 9, we've sort of used that 16 once we resolve this final pair. We haven't used the 11 much because we don't know if it's 2 or 3 cells, and we haven't used the 26 much. So we've still got some to use. Now, that 8 sees this cell, and the 3-5 pair sees this one. So they've become a 7-4 pair, and we know which way round they go. This has to be a 2 because it's seeing that 3-5 pair. 4, 7, 6 is in one of those 2 cells, and therefore one of those 2. In fact, these 3 are 6, 7, 8 in some order. What about this row? 6, 5, 1, 9, 7, 4. Oh, bingo! This cannot be a 2 or a 3 because it's on the end of a thermo that can't begin with a 2. So that's 8. So then we have, oops, wrong mode, 8 there. Then we have 2 or 3 here. We would have 2 or 3 here, but we've got a 2-4 pair in the column. So that's 3. This is 2. This can be anything. Hasn't resolved that. what has it done? 3, 5, 2, 4, 1, 9. We've got, that is 6 or 8, and these are from 6, 7, and 8 in the column. In this column, 5, 6, and 8 to place. Oh, look, we've got a quadruple. 5, 6, 7, 8 quadruple. 2, 1, 9. So these are all from 1, 9, 3, and 4. But we know that this is green, so that's not 1 or 9. So this either goes 1 and 3 or 4, or 3 or 4 and 9. That's a quadruple. These are 2 and 5. That's not a 5. This is now a 6, 8 pair, which fixes this cell as a 7. And that's good. 6, 8. So this is part of a 2, 3, 4 triple because it sees that 6, 8 pair as well as 1, 9, 7, and 5. And this is part of a 6, 8 pair to go with the 6, 8 pairs in rows 2 and 3. So up here we've got 6, 8, 1, 9. This can't be a 6. That doesn't mean that can't be a 2. No. This cell is 3, 4, or 5. Ah, what about this 11 clue? It doesn't have a 2 in it. And I know that that means it's not a 3-cell clue because that would be 2, 3, 6 or 2, 4, 5. So it's a 2-cell clue, and we get, do we get all our final crusts? I bet we do, because we can green out those cells. That's green. These two are red, and we can probably colour everything in the grey and blue versions of 1s and 9s as well. If I just take a little care and get that done right, that might help. It certainly won't hinder. Right, so now we know this is a 1 or 9, so that's obviously the 9. This isn't a 1, so these red and grey cells are... oh, bother. Right, well, I'm going to highlight all the red and grey cells and make them grey only now, because that is going to help me fill them with numbers. So they are all 1s, because the blues are all 9s. Yes, I can do those. Right, so there we go. We've got all our 1s and 9s filled in suddenly. I love this puzzle. It's got so many clever bits in it. Brilliant. Now these two add up to less than 11, and they don't have a 2, but that doesn't really help us much. They could still be anything using 3, 4, 5, or 6. They couldn't use a 7 though. 1, 9, 6, 8, 2. Yeah, it's not that useful a clue, weirdly, now. I mean, we used it really hard for fixing all the last sandwich crusts, but I can't use it again so far. It'll probably come back into play later. Right, what else can we do? Now, these two have to add up to, I can't remember what it was, 8 or less. Not helpful. Can't resolve those two. That's 3, 4, 5, or 7, just because it sees the other cells. Oh, I'm missing some clue. That's going to be all right, whatever we put in, I think. Yeah, so I can't actually fix that. Putting in these 9s and 1s didn't help at all, which feels cruel, frankly. 1, 9, 7, 6. So that, I haven't used this thermo, probably for very good reason, because I can't see how it really helps. 9, 1, 6, 8, 2. That is 3, 4, 5, or 7 as well. I really don't want to get into pencil marking literally everything, but honestly, if I have no other choice and to stop this being over an hour, I would do it. Let's see if we can figure out something a bit more logically entertaining, though. 8 in this box. Where does 8 go? It doesn't go in those cells because of this 8. So it's in one of those two, and they're looking at this cell and this cell. So that becomes a 6. This becomes a 5. There is a 7 there. That's not helpful. Right. 61592. So we've got 8 definitely in one of those two. I might as well do the corner marking as well. That's 3, 4, or 7. Which, if it's not 7, forms a 2, 3, 4 set, which is slightly interesting. This is 3, 4, or 7, which fits with the thermo. Ah, right, where does 8 go in this box? And now it's been ruled out of those cells and those cells. So it's in one of those two, which is not that helpful on its own, but fixes this cell as a 7 with an 8 next to it. This is not a 7 now. The only place for 7 in this box is there. 7, 6, 8. This is strange. I'd keep expecting things to pop open, but they don't. The puzzle keeps its secrets. Those two can't be 7s. They're a 3, 4 pair. 8, 7, 1, 9. So 6 there sees that cell. So 8 and 6. 6 in this box is there. We get 6 in one of those two. Oh, and then 6 is much. Okay, so this isn't 6. How about that? That doesn't mean this can't be 3. Quite the opposite. It's still quite likely to be 3. Now we've got a 2, 3, 4 set. So whatever that is in that cell. But 2, 3, 4, 1, 9, 6. Everything else in the column is 5, 7, or 8. That one can't be 7. 6, 9, 1. Is this working anything across? Not really. What about this that's on the end of the thermo and is likely to be 8? But that would make this 5, that 3. This would be a 2, 4 pair. Certainly not clear. 9. Keep expecting column 2 to do a bit more for me, and it doesn't. I suppose, is it relevant that this can't be 6, 5 or something? I don't think it is, actually. Right, what about that 2, 3, 4? No. We do need to place a 2 in this column. Oh, look, of course, this 16 clue. Sorry, you've seen that ages ago, and I didn't. So I've seen it now. That becomes a 3. We get 4 there, 3 there. That's not a 3. Oh, that 3 sees this, so that's done row 4. 4 there, 3 there. We've got 2, 5, and 6 to place. That can't be 3 anymore. 2, 5, and 6. But these two have to add up to 8 or less. Oh, so the 7 in the column goes here. That's clear. That gives me a 7 here. One of those is a 7 and one of those. That's an X-wing. These can't involve a 4 anymore. Now, what is it they have to add up to? 8 or less. And there is a 3 in one of them because there's no 3 there. Yes. In fact, that can't be a 3. There is a 3 in one of them, and they add up to 8 or less. So it's either, so there's no 6 in them. Therefore, 6 is in one of these two cells in the column, and that becomes a 5. This is amazing. Then we get a 3, 4 pair, so this is where 6 goes. And I immediately look across, and it does nothing in the rest of the row, although that becomes 2, 4, or 5. Those can't have a 5. They're now 2, 6. So these outies are 3 and 5. That is a useless triple, like a absolute chocolate teapot. That, though, is a wonderful, useful, non-chocolate double. And we get a 2 there and a 2 here, which somehow completed the column. Okay, 5 there, not resolved. That 3 is fixing this 3, 4 pair. My scanning is not brilliant today, but it's getting a bit better now. 4 there, 3 there, 5 in the corner. That's not a 5. It's not really telling us anything about this thermo down here. But now a 2-4 pair. So 3, 5. That can't be a 5. So, even better, that can't be a 5. So that's 7, that's 5. This is 7. Got a 6, 8 pair left. We've got 2, 4, and 8 to place in this box. That's 2 or 8. That's any of them. Now, are there any more clues that I'm stopped paying attention to yet again? Yes, no, it's not a clue, it's just scanning. That becomes a 4, that's 2, that's 8. That's 2 or 4, so the 3 in the row. Uh-oh, uh-oh, uh-oh. Right, let's go back. That is not, this is not 2 or 4 because there's a 5 option. So my apologies there. That can't be 3. We do have a 2-4 pair in the row. It's not where I put it. It's in those 2 cells. So that's a 5. This is all right now. 4, that's 2 or 3. We've got a 2-3 pair. That's 4. That's 2. That's 4. Those 6-8 pairs will work themselves out when we get this middle box done. That's become a 2, 3, 2, 8, 6, 4, 8, just 6, 8, and a 2-6 pair left. And that is the answer to the picnic Sudoku. That's a really nice puzzle. I do hope you had a go at that. It works very elegantly throughout. I absolutely loved the 1-9 colouring trick, which gave us that there wasn't a crust in row 1, column 1. That's beautiful. Definitely part of the logical path because it's so elegant. Must be. Anyway, thank you so much for watching as ever. Do have a look at the Sudoku pad. Well worth a go in my opinion, but you know, only if you want to. And I will definitely see you on the channel hopefully tomorrow. See you again soon. Bye for now.